and welcome to the MT Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Ante. My co-host right here is Kyle Heath. This is the show where we cover this week's gaming industry-related news. So we're talking about, 5 different things that we got going on. A little bit of esports and personalities, gaming industry stuff, new and upcoming games kind of sprinkled in there with the state of play coming up, and a couple other stuff. Kyle, what have you been doing this last, week? We haven't really chatted much because
Yeah,
I've been out of town and disconnected from the internet.
yeah.
But I'm
You know,
sure you were supposed to be playing a game and giving a proper insight of what it was.
I
I
finished
think it
that game.
was, yeah, Senua Saga,
Yep,
right?
yep. That is
Help.
exactly
Yeah.
it. Yep.
Yeah, tell us what happened.
So I finished the game. Um, Put it this way, I think overall I enjoyed the experience. However, um, once it got towards the end of the game, I kind of noticed it was building up to something, and I was like, I feel like this might be the end. And also at the same time, I was like, there's no way this is the end because I don't feel like I'm that far in. And then all of a sudden it ends. And then I looked up on how long to beat, and it was clocking anywhere from 5.5 to 6 hours to finish the game. And so I was like, wow, this is a very short game. That being said, as someone that played the first one, enjoyed the first one, playing the second one, um, my really only one of my biggest complaints is that it was just too short. Like I wish there was an extra couple hours and they maybe did some, extra kind of story moments in this one. But I mean overall, I think overall that the story it was okay, and I there was at times where, it was where it was really kind of I was so immersed, it was real deep, and I felt all sorts of different type of emotions and stuff like that. So I think it did a good job of capturing those moments and whatnot. But it's I don't know, I was just genuinely surprised. When I realized it was the final scene in the game, and I was this is actually about to end, and then it ends, and you're just all right. It seems this is a game that's been in development for years and years, um just to see it that it's this short is a little disappointing to me. But I think overall as an experience, I still enjoyed it. And I think too, it's good every once in a while. From perspective of me, it's good to play a shorter game every once in a while. I wish,
Yeah.
and now a game like this, and kind of hyped up the way that it was, and kind of shown off the way that it was, I was hoping for more in that regard. Just from kind of this franchise in particular, but it's kind of hard to say. I think it's one of those games that especially if you've never played the first one and you're just jumping into it, it probably won't hit the way that it would if, say, you played the first one and you've been waiting all this time for this game. It's just I think there's gonna be a lot of people that try to play and they're just not gonna get it, or just not gonna get into it. But I don't know, I think overall for a series, I enjoyed the experience. Again, I wish there was more, because I think overall it was good. The combat and everything kind of similar to the first game, but the combat is definitely very watered down, and it's not really super challenging per se, and it doesn't really push the boundaries of combat in other games like God of War or anything like that. It's very sort of, I guess kind of, it's I feel like it's meant to be easy kind of thing. And even the last kind of fight is, pretty easy. It's nothing challenging, but I think too, there's kind of more to be desired with the combat. But at the end of the day, it's this is a game it's meant for the story. The game was made to tell a story kind of thing. That's the primary objective. In this case, it's not meant to be a combat, to show off some insane combat or have insane mechanics, I don't think. So it's kind of meant to just tell a story, albeit it's brief, but that's kind of the main goal, and I think it did a good job there. But yeah, it's a weird thing. And two, I will say this. This is such a weird design choice with any game, but even in a game like this, I get they're trying to have that cinematic kind of storytelling, kind of that's the main thing. But I booted up the game mic, and for the first couple hours, my first little session before I jump back on at a future date, I noticed the game it had the letterbox bars. It's the game is it's got those black bars, like you're watching a movie or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And at first I thought it was the opening cutscene. I was like, okay, they're just doing this for the cutscene. But then you start playing, you're like, no, this is the whole game. You're playing with these, black bars. And at first I was like, maybe I can get used to it. But then when I hopped on again after coming back to it, a couple days later, like within like a few minutes, I was like, okay, there's got to be a way to get rid of these because like I just can't. I don't know. I couldn't do it. It's like I just like I get like kind of what they're going for, but I just feel like so, and I get it's probably part of it to feel kind of restricted and feel sort of like add to like anxiety or something like that maybe to like give you a more enclosed space. But I don't know. It was like I enjoyed the first game of just kind of not having that and just kind of being the game. So I actually found a tutorial on YouTube like pretty shortly after I was like doing some Googling. And they were like, yeah, you just have to add this stuff to an INI file and the game, looks normal. It doesn't have those bars. And it looked great. Like the game looked great without it. So it's a weird. I feel like that was kind of an interesting design choice. And
Yeah.
so, and I wish there was kind of a way to remove it without having to modify files. But sure enough, it was easy enough to get rid of. So, and I feel like I don't know. I just like, and I think part of it too is like whenever I was playing with the bars, it was easy. It was kind of difficult to tell like what was a cutscene and what wasn't, kind of thing. Um, it's really just came down to like camera movement because like when you're in a cutscene, you notice the camera gets a little more kind of shaky as if someone's actually filming it. So that was kind of the way to distinguish that in gameplay. And you can kind of tell when you take the black bars away, it was much easier to tell when you were stepping into a cutscene because it's like the kind of the scope of everything kind of like zooms out a little bit. So like, oh, okay, this is cutscene part. I don't have to do anything. But it was much harder to tell that. So you could tell like that's part of the reason probably why they added that too is to kind of be able to switch between that more seamlessly. Because you could definitely tell without them, like when you were going to a cutscene. But I don't know. I enjoyed the game without it. I don't know if they're gonna like add it in the future, the ability to get rid of that, or something like that, like natively. But I will say, I mean, graphically, I don't play games to see like insane graphics, especially on a 1080p display. I don't have like a 4K ultra wide, so I'm not like striving to see the
Yeah.
best of the best in that regard. So it's like not a huge priority for me. I mean, the game still look good at 1080, and from all the reviews I've seen, when people play it at 4K and everything, it looks really, really good. So certainly no one's complaining about the graphics, like they say. It's like visually, it's a really good game. The sound, the audio, and everything is. I think that was the best feature, was just the audio and kind of the soundscape they create. They really don't go wrong with that. But yeah, dude, I just wish it was like I could have played for at least a few more hours. Like I feel like I kind of wish there was a little more to it. Um, but I mean, I enjoyed the experience for what it was.
Does it have
So
any replayability at all, or is like
I,
how'd that work?
I mean, not really. There's like little things throughout the game where um there's one thing where there's like it's almost like a totem of some sort, and like you see it all throughout the game, and when you go to it you can focus on it and you like fill in like I guess a Greek letter or something like that, and then there's a little part of the story that's being told, and I think once you as you fill those letters out it tells the full story. And that's just kind of all throughout the game. And there's also like little things. There's other little things. I think there was one where there's like a tree where you can like essentially focus on a certain like aspect of the environment, and it will open up a pathway to kind of unlock another section of this like little tree thing. Didn't really make much sense, and to be honest, I didn't feel intrigued or inclined enough to try and find everything. So there's like little things like that that may give some replayability, but for the most part, I mean, this is very much a one and done. I think, unless you want to, unless for some reason years down the line you're like, oh, I want to maybe like play this again just to kind of see if I can interpret the story a different way or something like that. There might be something there, but I don't know. I mean, at least for now, it's kind of for me, it's a one and done. So, um, yeah,
It's kind of a bummer. Yeah,
yeah,
you seem like you're not that excited about it,
yeah. It
unfortunately.
was, yeah. I mean, I just wish there was more to offer. Like, it's not like a terrible game by any means, but it's not what I was expecting, and like in a bad way, it's not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know. It's one of those things like I know like I know I was talking about the previous episode of the podcast that like Ninja Theory, they released the first Hellblade in 2017 like that. There was a couple games they did after that were more like live service kind of oriented, if I'm not mistaken. And like those games, obviously, so there was games between this and two, so it wasn't just like they were only working on this for the past 7 years. There was also other stuff they were working on. But still, it's like for a sequel and stuff, and kind of like hyping it up and kind of a continuation and an opportunity, I think, to
Yeah.
improve upon a lot of things and maybe try different things with kind of with Senua and like the story and all that. And I just think there was like missed opportunity there, and it's kind of just I think we're seeing, I think, why this wasn't really marketed a whole lot on Xbox's part, because it's just I think there was a certain extent as like Ninja Theory. I'm sure they're very proud of the game, and there's a lot of things to be proud about with it. But also, it's just like doesn't really offer a whole lot, especially to like casual gamers or anything like that. So it's kind of just
It's
like
kind of a shame.
I think they maybe realized at a certain point of like, well, yeah, there's probably no reason to really market this if 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 there's just not really much there, especially after all the time that was spent to make it. So I don't know. There's I guess tons of theories about what happened there, but yeah, I just wish there was more. Like I really do. It's an okay game, but I feel like most people are just not going to be interested in it.
Well, where would you put it on the tier list that we put together like 2 weeks ago?
Mm,
Would you podcast recommend or don't waste your time?
I don't know. I'm like kind of between like the kind of podcast recommend and don't waste your time. I feel like
Hmm.
it's just it's kind of niche. Like if you like story games, you might get something out of it. If you played the first game, I think it's worth checking out. Um, but like if you haven't really played the first one, I would probably recommend just go play the first one and then like check that out. Um, and then if you really enjoyed it, then you can play the second. But I don't know. I'm just kind of in between there. It's I think for most people, it'd probably just be a don't waste your time. But if you're into kind of story games and stuff like that, if you played the first one and you enjoyed that, it's at least worth trying. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just, I wish it was more of the game you wanted to play.
yeah,
Because
yeah. I mean,
it,
I think
it's
a lot
good.
of people share that sentiment too. It's like there was I think there was a certain level of expectations. There wasn't like earth shattering, like this seems to be the greatest thing ever expectations for most people, but it certainly didn't live up to a lot of people's expectations. I think. And it's still, if you look on Metacritic and stuff, I'm pretty sure it's still like 70s, 80s for the most part. Like it's still,
Yeah. It's
it did decently well.
81, 82.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's again, it's not terrible, but I don't think it's it's not going to sell Game Pass subscriptions or Xboxes or anything like that. That's I think it's fair enough to say that. So yeah, I don't really. It's mostly I I'm worried about Ninja Theory as a studio, like if they'd be able to continue doing another thing. I think I heard rumors that their next project they already got like a project greenlit, so there's like no
Well, that's
imminent
good.
reason for them to be shut down or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Well, you never
So
know now.
it is the thing,
Everybody's
but yeah,
getting
you just never
pulled
know.
out.
So I don't know. It's yeah. I wish for Ninja Theory's sake it hit a little harder and had more to offer, but yeah. Well, I guess we'll see how it shakes out. But yeah, I also saw too on Xboxes. I think it's on Xboxes. If on like every Xbox you boot up right now, especially the Series X and whatnot, like if you boot it up, there is a splash page that is advertising Hellblade 2, and it's like, oh, you can get it on Game Pass or do
Oh,
this and that, and it's like on every Xbox, and you can either close it out or actually like get the game. And so they're trying to advertise it, I guess, that way. I'm just like, hey, check it out. But I don't know. I find it really interesting too. It's like there's not wasn't really much advertised beforehand, and then now it's kind of like, well, it's out. Let's push it. It's on Game Pass. It's a huge thing we were promoting. So whatever. But yeah,
yeah. Interesting enough. I never really played the first one, so I don't know too much about it. I just remember seeing all the cinematics and think it was a beautiful looking game.
yeah,
But to hear that it's only like 5 to 8 hours long,
yeah.
that's
And
kind of a bummer. But
8 is
it just depends on how
that.
good it is.
Yeah, and they say it was like 6 to 8, like 8 was completion or something like that. But it's like when I really think about, it, I'm like, you have to like try almost. I feel like to take 8 hours to complete the game because I mean, there's just, I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
it's very linear and there's just, there's not a whole lot again. But I don't know. Maybe some
Well,
people can
the
make it work.
the
But
length of a video game doesn't really affect how good it is. Like I still
yeah,
think Ori and the Blind Forest is one of the best games I've played in a long time, and you could technically beat that game in like 3 hours
yeah,
probably. But to be a completionist, you can spend a good amount of time on it. It just
yeah.
depends on what level of the game you want to play.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Link's certainly not everything. And it
Hmm.
certainly is getting harder and harder for I think studios to meet expectations of fans with games nowadays being like,
Oh yeah,
minimum 15, 20 hours. It's like what they're requiring some of these studios, so it gets harder and harder. So I mean, like I said,
100%.
short games I'm all for, especially like with a busy schedule. Like I think shorter games are better for most people. And
Yeah,
if you're not playing a story type of game, it's like they don't have much time, so they're just gonna hop on a Fortnite or a COD or and just get a couple hours in, and
exactly.
that's those
That's why
free to play
multiplayer games are
games.
still so popular.
Yeah, like
Really,
those free to play games are always gonna have a lot of players because it's like most people just don't have much time, so you hop on and play what you can.
that's a fact.
Oh man,
Hmm.
but yeah,
So you know what I ended up playing this week?
Oh, Mike played
So
something.
yeah, blackjack, craps. No,
Let's go. He threw the dice.
yeah, that's. I don't really think that counts though. I just played a bunch of different mobile games on my phone. I don't
Hey,
even know what
okay,
they're called.
okay.
Like those little silly ads that just come up when you're playing something as simple as like poker.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it'll just show the guys that are
yeah,
like the linear running people, and
yeah.
you have to go left or right to multiply to destroy things that are
Yep.
coming at you.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah, I
those.
downloaded like 3 of those. Just
Yeah,
played those and stuff.
yeah.
I'm trying to get on the mobile grind game. But this week, man, I'll be caught up with schedule. I have the weekend off. I'm gonna be chilling, playing some games. The pool's open, dude. I might get underneath the
Oh,
canopy
baby.
over there and just
Oh,
playing some
baby.
Zelda. So
Dude, that'd actually be
it's gonna
kind
be
of
good.
sick. That's a vibe right there. Get
It
under
is
an
totally
umbrella
a
or something
vibe.
like that. Bring out for the Switch.
100%, man.
Enjoy that
That's the
weather.
plan. They got these like round it's kind of like California style, round
Okay. Okay.
like sofas with this little canopy thing going over the top. So I can just be posted up, and that's the plan. Get those, plug in some earbuds, and then just zone out and play Zelda. I saw that there was somebody that made a well, there's apparently an entire Reddit dedicated towards Hyrule. No, Legend of Zelda and engineering. It's called like Hyrule Engineering or something like that. Engineer Hyrule. One of the things on like the Reddit, and they basically take all the different physics and things that you can do in the game, the mechanics, and build crazy things. There was somebody that built a workable dragon that like spit fire and had wings that would flap, and you
Oh
could
my.
fly around. It was insane looking. Um, yeah, so something like that I'm very interested in. Of course, they did it after they beat the game, and they've been playing since the game launched. Uh,
Yeah.
but there's like step by step guides on how to do it. I thought it was really interesting. But one of the things I'm most interested about is hearing about XDefiant because you and I talked about it multiple times
Baby.
with how it could be kind of a bust. And I know some people at work that have been playing it and they've been really enjoying it. And they,
Hey, man.
dare I say, they said that it could possibly be better than COD.
Hey, I will.
Now, I'm curious, did you get a chance to play it yet?
I actually did get a chance to play it. I didn't mention that. Yeah.
Okay.
I actually did get a chance to
I
hop on
figured
for a
you
couple
did.
hours. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's interesting. Kind of, it's an interesting game. I think one of my buddies put it nicely. He said it's very much like a COD shooter style, but the movement is it's definitely slower pace. So it's kind of like an in between of Halo and COD, if that makes sense. Where it's like from a movement standpoint, kind of the pacing and everything.
Okay.
Anyways, this is an exclusive from Tom Henderson over at Insider Gaming. He said XDefiant hits around 8 million unique players in week one. Just 1 week, Mike. That's it.
That's insane, dude.
Man.
That's so good.
Insider Gaming's learned that XDefiant just hit just shy of 8 million unique players in its first week of release. At the time of writing, XDefiant has approximately 7.6 million unique players, and the multiple sources expect that number to reach 8 million by the end of today. And today was May 28th. So, late last week, Insider Gaming reported that XDefiant had 1 million unique players in its first 2.5 hours, making it Ubisoft's fastest title to reach that milestone. 48 hours after the launch, the game had 3 million unique players. It's understood that the unique player means that the player has downloaded the game and opened it for the first time. The internal goal was to hit 5 million unique players within the game's first month, a goal that has quickly been surpassed. As many from our original report pointed out, unique player numbers don't mean much in the grand scheme of things. Speaking with sources, several developers working on the project have also expressed the same sentiment, but they have said it's being actively addressed, with netcode being the main priority. Yeah, and I'll say I noticed that too when I played a little bit. That netcode is kind of hit or miss sometimes, Mike. Like, you're shooting someone, you're like, my crosshair is on you, dog. Like, what is going on? Like, deep, and it's just nothing. And you're like, what's going? Okay.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
It's definitely noticeable at times. But anyways, to continue on, concurrent player data, arguably the most critical metric, has reached a high of around 700,000 players achieved on Monday, May 27th, a holiday day for many countries, Memorial Day. But whether or not XDefiant can maintain such high player numbers remains to be seen. One thing is for certain, though, it's an impressive statistic. XDefiant is available on the PS5, Xbox Series S and X, and PC. Have you played XDefiant, Mike? What do you think of it?
Nope.
Let us know in the
I
comments
don't.
of this article, which Yeah, it's linked in the description.
Yeah,
Yeah,
insidergaming.com. I'm I don't know, man. So 8 million players, I mean that's awesome.
yeah,
First of all, let's get that out of the way. But I'm curious if you know how new games pop off because of social media and like other streamers, YouTubers, all this kind of stuff. The next big thing, everybody wants to play it, but then they can die off rather quickly after the honeymoon phase goes away.
yeah.
I Net coding is a pretty big issue in a first person shooter, right?
Yeah.
And after a while, that gets annoying real quick, and you
Does,
stop coming
dude.
back to play. So
Yep.
I don't doubt that they'll fix it. I think they will, but I think it's gonna be very difficult. You know, I think it
Yeah,
will be.
certainly. I
Yeah.
mean, this thing too, Mike. These games been. This game was originally supposed to come out last year, right? They had to let it cook a little
Yes.
longer. They were like, "Nah, we have some fundamental things here we gotta fix." And you come out and spend all that time, then the game releases, and it's like, netcode's kind of it's kind of trash at times. Like, what are we doing here? Like, spend all that time and like still got
It
some
could be
fundamental
because there's so
issues.
many
So,
players on the
I mean,
servers.
yeah,
It could really
maybe.
mess things up. That some things that they didn't see coming, and the only way to fix it is to go through the growing pains of a new game that's really successful at launch.
Yeah. I mean,
Plenty
yeah,
of games had that issue.
it's certainly true. I mean, to a certain extent too. I mean, just to play devil's advocate, it's like how long are you going to keep the game from not releasing just because there's like problems, right? Because like certainly you can iron
Yeah.
stuff out throughout the early stages. So I'm sure that's probably the sentiment here. But yeah, I mean, here's hoping they can fix that sooner rather than later. Because like you're saying, that could be a bit of a turnoff in a first-person shooter if bullets aren't registering, dude. You know this more than anyone, Mike. It's just
Dude,
it's
don't get me
frustrating.
started. Don't get me started. Back in the day, it was okay because it was new and exciting. Back like early original
Yeah,
Xbox or Xbox
like the
360, and
novelty was there at least. The novelty's not there
yeah,
now.
like, it was very unique. It was very exciting, but man, it's like we're 20 years going on that happening. I can't be having my shots just disappear, especially now because people are like making money off of games. So it's
Yeah,
tough, man.
it gets just, yeah, gets more and more critical to
Hmm.
trying to address.
It's yes, sir.
Mm. But yeah, I mean, overall, look, I enjoyed the little time I played it. I haven't played it much since, but that's because I don't want to play solo. And most of my friends are either working or just not, playing other things or not playing video games at all. So it's hard to find time. But at least for a
Very
little bit
true.
I play, hey, it was okay. I'd play again. My friends are playing, I'll hop on. You know?
That's the big thing, especially with multiplayer games. As long as like everybody's with you, it's gonna be a great time. That's
It's
like
true.
why multiplayer games are so popular, in my opinion. You make
Yeah.
friends, or you bring your friends along, and then you teach them how to game and stuff like that. It's a good time.
Yeah. It's true, man. It's true. I mean, look, like the next article is about a game you've been very passionate about at times, and there's a
Yeah,
community out there that's
I
very
would.
passionate as well. So,
It's funny about this game, Star Citizen. Um, it actually inspired me to get into PC gaming,
oh, okay.
and because I saw everything that it was promised and all the things that would happen with Star Citizen, and how it just seemed like the perfect game and like a dream game for me. I
Yeah.
was like, I really want to get into this. So I was like, okay, what's the prerequisites to get this game? And they were like really high up
Oh
requirements
yeah.
for the PC at the time. So I was like, okay, I got to save up. So I save up, save up, save up. And I figured this game will be out by the time I have enough money and I build my own PC. Cause like you're always kind of chasing the money to buy the best PC parts because there's always a new round of PC parts
Yeah.
coming out like every 9 to 12 months.
Yep.
So I was always trying to save, save, save. I make a full setup. I can totally run the game. It still hasn't been launched yet. Like
It's
it's
still not
so terrible.
officially launched. Oh man.
Yeah, I at this point, man, I think it's a scam, and I don't think you can really talk to the people that bought into the scam. I think I don't. They might be too far gone, but we'll get into that. And
Yeah.
if anybody has never heard of this game before, oh boy, do we have a story for you. So, this one's coming from IGN. It's called Star Citizen pushes through the $700 million raised mark. And no, there still isn't a release date. It says underneath to the moon.
That's almost a
Okay,
movie.
so,
It's almost a movie.
oh, jeez. So, Yesley Yin Poole wrote this article from IGN. And I know this is about to get into it about what that $700 million means. This game is 100% crowd funded by the public. And the way they do it is you basically kind of buy. the alpha version of the game, and then you buy more like cosmetics, you buy vehicles, well, they're ships because this is a space simulator game, and you just upgrade your character as much as you can. And we're talking like these ships are worth like $10,000 USD. They're crazy expensive, and they have their own
Yeah.
economy. It's like it's kind of wild how they're trying to bill it, but let's just go into it. I'm sure this article is going to do a better job explaining than I just did. But here we go. So Star Citizen has now raised over 700 million according to the figures from developer Cloud Imperium Games. The developer behind the controversial space sim makes revenue publicly available on its website, which at the time of this article's publication shows Star Citizen had raised $701,186,615. That's USD. So that's a lot. CIG is the abbreviation for Cloud Imperium Games, calls this money funds raised. CIG even breaks down the revenue by recent months, weeks, and hours. At its lowest point on the morning of May 28th, Star Citizen brought in $42,886 in 1 hour, about 1.5 million yesterday. May 27th, $10,883,513 this last week. And fourth, 4,753,264 for the month of April. Things appear to have picked up considerably in May after the launch of the Alpha 3.23 Adventure Beckons update. What do you think about those numbers so far? Because you've heard me rant about it several times.
I
The
mean,
game's not even out yet.
that's insane, dude. I would have never guessed in a million years that this game is pulling in that kind of money in a day, a
Oh yeah,
month. And so
it's
it's
absurd, man.
it's
It,
is that just so is that 701 million? Is that including this revenue, or is that literally just what they raised from crowdfunding? Because
I think that's including this as
because
well. Yeah,
yeah, I would hope so because that's so much money. It's like that'd be insane if that much was crowdfunded. But yeah, jeez, dude, it's insane, dude. You're spending thousands on a ship, a cosmetic, in a video game. I can't comprehend it, man.
you know what a sunk cost fallacy is, right?
Yeah.
That's basically what's going on here. This game has been promised since like 2015, and they keep doing more and more alpha launches and stuff like that, and one little thing here, there, and the other. And the directions constantly change. There's nothing really going on with it. I mean, the game was originally built to be its own economy, like, oh, dude, what's that space sim game that I literally just forgot in my head? Shoot. Well, one of the exploration style ways of doing it is like very, very realistic, 4K resolution, high graphic intensity, like almost CGI kind of thing, which is kind of funny because the abbreviation CIG. Um, and what they do is it feels and plays similar to No Man's Sky without the animals in it
Oh,
or the
I
NPCs.
see. I see.
Like it's supposed to be an open world playable game. Everybody can see each other.
Yeah.
Uh, let me actually look up the space sim game I'm thinking of.
It's
It's
just
like it's like the longest one running ever. Eve Online. So it's like a mixture
Eve.
between
Okay.
Eve
Okay.
Online, No Man's Sky. They also want to have like Call of Duty style shooters in it, and very like it's kind of wild, man. It doesn't make sense how they can promise all of these things, and it sounds too good to be true. And it's been in development since 2015. Things never coming out. Uh,
Oh man.
yeah, yeah, it's just wild, man. But let's continue on with this. Star Citizen is considered one of the most controversial projects in all of video games. Over the 12 years since its crowdfunding drive began, it's been called many things, including a scam, by those who wonder whether it will ever properly launch. Its virtual spaceships, some of which cost hundreds of dollars, are often the focus of criticism. Alpha 3.23 launched 2 months after CIG began talking about Star Citizen 1.0 launch being within sight, over a decade after the game released its first crowdfunding drive. Crazy. So, CIG chief Chris Roberts, who runs another business called Chris Roberts Industries, has said 2024 will see the launch of Star Citizen Alpha 4.0, and that the developer is working to bring features developed for Squadron 42, which is the standalone story-based game starring the likes of Mark Hamill and Gillian Anderson to the persistent universe portion of the game at an accelerated rate. Yeah, okay. Squadron 42, everything in Squadron 42 was supposed to be in Star Citizen. It was supposed to be just another feature that you could use. So
Hmm.
they've broken that out to create another cash cow. And the crazy thing about Star Citizen is they hire these like world famous actors and actresses to play different characters, and the cinematics look gorgeous and beautiful. And dude, I've seen diehard Star Citizen fans and YouTube channels that run Star Citizen content, and they're just like, yeah, I love this game, but I got to be honest with myself, it's just a wallpaper simulator. It just makes your game like
Oh,
the game looks beautiful. You're just flying around the world, but that's literally it. Just
oh, damn.
it's
That's
the
rough.
ultimate whaler.
That is
It's the
rough.
ultimate whaler, dude. It's wild. Anyway, so this is all building up to Star Citizen 1.0, which Roberts has said is what we consider the features and content set to represent commercial release. However, there is still no release date or even release window for Star Citizen 1.0. CIG will share the roadmap later this year, it has said. And if you do the little survey here, when will Star Citizen finally release 1.0? There's 2025, 2026, 2027, and wouldn't you know that never has 72% of the vote.
Let's
Like
go. Let's
9,400
go.
people voted on this. Dude,
Oh man.
it's just a straight up scam. It's something that I've been following for the longest time, and I've been waiting for it to launch. I'm still on the email list. I get routine emails like once or twice a month, and they do these like, "Oh, here's the new update. This is what we've done. Check out this." And then they're like, "Dude, it's just a sales pitch for everything." And I
Mm.
respect what Chris Roberts envisions or says that he wants to do, but the execution is so poorly done that it's like you're just hemorrhaging money, dude. You're scamming people at this point.
Oh,
It's
shit.
wild. $700 million in crowdfunding. What is the incentive to finish the game if you're making money off of the game? He found the ability to keep getting money without releasing the game ever. And people sign like contracts and stuff like that where it's like it's not a release project, so you can't really complain. It's your money that you're giving us. It's insane, dude. Insane.
Yeah, it's I just can't get over he was saying that he said the 1.0 launch is within sight. We're going on a
Yeah.
decade here and we're just now within sight of a official release.
12 years.
I
And
mean,
the persistent universe of Squadron 42 is going to come out at an accelerated rate. Like, what?
like,
It's no such truth to this, dude.
listen, dude, I've never played Star Citizen, but I have to ask, is the game fundamentally butt? Or is it actually good?
It it was unplayable for at least 8 years.
8 years?
At least 8 years.
8 years?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Like I mean unplayable. Like the game would routinely crash. You couldn't do certain elements that were promised. Every single deadline that he said that it was going to come out or like certain features would be available keeps getting postponed, but then they add in like but we worked on this new ship. Like check this out, dude. For the ridiculousness that this might be the first time some people have actually heard of Star Citizen before. Let me look up their economy for ships. Let's see if I can find this. It was like this article I just clicked on is a blog from 2013. That should tell you a lot.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even. Yeah, it's like climbing the
Oh.
ladder, make your own economy, become different merchants, like become a mercenary. People can contract you out to do things. It's just, oh, dude,
By the way,
purchasing ships.
this game will not be released
Come
in
on,
2024. Just saying, you know, like
forever.
uh, imagine being told that like you bought in 2014, and they're just like, oh, by the way, in a decade, we still won't be released. Have fun. It's like what? I can't believe it. I would never fund this. I'm sorry. Like I'm sure the game's like I'm sure people enjoy it, right? Obviously, you're making that much money in a month of this game. Like there's obviously a fan base, obviously people that enjoy it. But I mean, if the game doesn't run like complete dookie, just release it, man. What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for really? Like, just
I
don't get
mean,
it.
dude, it's out of control. Like it's completely out of control. There are ships that you can buy that are $200 to $250, and that's considered like reasonable entry level ships. And there's some that get a little bit below 100. It's just wild. There's a Star Citizens bundle pack where you can get 175 ships for $48,000.
Like like the price of a luxury car. Like
Yeah,
the
dude,
price of a
it's
truck. Like jeez, dude.
it's insane. So I just pulled up rarest.org and I just did a quick little Google check of expensive Star Citizen ships. I hope this is wrong. There's something called a 600i Executive Edition. It is 25,000 real dollars.
What?
25,000 real dollars. What
Wow.
the
Um wow. Wow.
By the way, we have a Patreon that we're working on. If you ever want, just kidding.
If anybody's considering buying that, hear us out for a second.
Yeah, there's a thing called a Javelin, which is a very popular ship. It looks freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah.
It's $3,000. Now, hold on, before people like completely freak out because it's completely unreasonable. Don't get me wrong. There is something very fascinating about being able to go inside of the ship, being able to go in all the different rooms. You need to hire an actual crew to run certain compartments of the ship so that you can actually function, which is kind of cool.
Wait, like
Uh,
with in-game currency or like real
you can
currency?
pay people like within game currency. Like that's what
Oh,
they
okay.
promise. They're basically
Oh,
trying to create a true virtual world, well, space universe
yeah,
in this example, where you can do literally everything.
yeah.
Like
Which
imagine what you do on a daily basis, but you can do that also in a game.
which sounds great as an elevator pitch, right? And a lot of people probably bought
Yeah.
in because of that. It's like, oh, it sounds
Oh,
awesome.
100%.
Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. It's the ultimate elevator pitch, dude. This needs to be studied in laws, like in finance classes and business
yeah.
school, and particularly marketing.
Oh wow.
This might be the greatest marketing of all time.
I mean, hey,
Really might be.
you're still bringing in millions a month. I mean, hey, doing something right. You know,
It's
you
crazy.
know, not doing something wrong. That's for sure. It's insane, man. I just like paying. It's the price of a car or price of a PC. If you want to build like a decent PC, it's like $3,000. That's yeah, I'll get you a pretty decent PC. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's wild to me. It's like I keep going back to my units of measurement for cash. I just think about what can I buy on a PC with that amount of money. So if it's something that's like $800, it's like okay, you can get a decent motherboard, you know, good enough graphics card. Like $3,000, you could get a whole PC, like an entire one. It would run
Oh
great.
yeah, but
It's wild.
dude, $25,000, you can get a brand new, like 2024, I don't know, Subaru WRX,
Probably.
like zero
It's
issues.
insane, dude. Like, yeah, you can get a
Yeah,
whole car paid for.
that's a
So,
healthy down payment on a $400,000 house in
yeah,
most cities.
yeah,
Like
might as
that's
well.
that's just nuts, 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 nuts. But I mean,
Oh,
hey, some people they can do what they want with their money. Like
hey,
it's all based on percentages, right? If you're a
no,
multimillionaire,
dude, look,
well, that was 25 grand. You know,
I
that's
mean,
nothing. That's
some
like spend
people,
25
yeah,
bucks if you make 100.
I mean, yeah, true.
It's
Some people
nothing.
got it like that. I'm not saying they don't, but it's
Yeah.
just insane to me. As someone as a middle class, as a lower middle class individual, probably, if I'm being honest here, like that just seems insane to me. But yeah, but no, I mean, I get the point. I get it. I mean, for some people, that's nothing. So, and
Yeah.
maybe one day that'll be kind of nothing to me. I don't know. We'll see. I'm working on it,
Yeah.
but
To me, man, it's just why are you paying for a service that's not finished?
for real, that's the
Why are you
ultimate thing.
prepaying for something that may never exist?
Yeah, exactly. That's the
Doesn't
ultimate
make
thing here.
sense.
It's like it's not even out.
Yeah.
Who knows if it'll be out?
Why would it get? Why would they push it out? It
What are
makes
we
no sense.
doing? That's the real question.
Well, you know something that did get pushed out by a company that
Mm,
you and I both
true.
know and use on a daily basis.
True.
Probably
True.
people are watching this on this platform.
Yeah.
Let's give them a rundown. What did YouTube recently do?
Shit. It's a good thing. Listen, to those that just heard a Windows notification, that was a random Xbox notification on my PC. All right. So if you're in your car, it's not your car stereo being hacked. All right. It's just It's my PC. So there we go. YouTube rolls out its new Playables games to all users. This is a once exclusive YouTube Premium members. Playables includes over 75 games you can play directly on YouTube. I had zero idea about this. I'm gonna be honest. I had no idea this existed.
Same, honestly.
So
Yeah.
this is all new to me. Ash Parrish writes this over at The Verge. I just have to read this the little description because it's just funny to me. A reporter who covers the business, culture, and communities of video games with a focus on marginalized gamers and writing about the intersection of video games and sex. That's interesting. I never knew Ash Parrish was, writing about this kind of stuff. I gotta read more Ash Parrish. So everybody's getting into gaming these days. YouTube joins the slowly growing list of companies with gaming initiatives, rolling out its Playables program across mobile and desktop. To play, simply visit YouTube's website or Android iOS app and look for Playables in the sidebar. YouTube will let players save their progress and keep track of high scores. There are over 75 games to choose from, including chess and crossword games, to more popular casual mobile titles like Angry Birds Showdown, Trivia Crack, and Cut the Rope. I gotta visit. Mike, I'm visiting this after the show. All right. I'm reading the article, brother. So you got all the time in the world. Go for it.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
YouTube began its foray into gaming last year, offering Playables to YouTube Premium subscribers. That initial phase had far fewer games and was only around for a relatively limited amount of time, with the phase wrapping up in March of this year. Offering a slate of casual games has become one of the more popular ways that tech companies are using to lure in and keep subscribers. LinkedIn recently rolled out its games offerings with apparently pretty entertaining. The New York Times, Hearst, and even Netflix have all added games as part of their regular services. Even YouTube's parent company Google tried its hand at gaming in 2019 with Google Stadia cloud gaming service subscription. After a little more than 3 years, Stadia was shut down in 2023. Long live Stadia, salute. I remember Stadia, dude.
Long live Stadia.
That's pretty much it for this article. But the reason we were talking about it is because I've been a YouTube Premium subscriber for 5+ years at this point, and I never heard about this or saw this. Like, this is all completely new to me, so it's something I definitely want to check out at some point. Just because I didn't know that I could go on YouTube and play games. That sounds pretty sick. I definitely want to give this a shot.
Yeah, it actually makes a lot of sense that they would move out Stadia but not give up entirely. It's like we already built YouTube to run anywhere all the time. Might as well just add a couple of Flash games to it in a way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, you play. I didn't say if any of the games are multiplayer. I'm assuming not. I think it's all just single player stuff. But like, I feel like chess it'd be really sick if you could like actually hop on chess and play with someone else. That'd be kind of sick. Or play against someone else, I should say.
Dude, I feel like it has to be multiplayer. If you look at, well, I mean, like, yeah, technically all these games can be played by bots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says sidebar. Where's the sidebar on?
That's what I was trying to find.
Sidebar on mobile. What are we talking about?
That's what I was trying to find. Do you have an Android or do you have?
I have an iPhone, but
an Apple phone.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't find it. Maybe I have to update.
I don't know. I have to look for it after the show. I have no idea where it is if it's available on mobile. Because let's see, because the article. Let's see. Because they said somewhere, to play, simply visit YouTube's website or Android iOS app and look for Playables in the sidebar. I'm Playables in the sidebar desktop, sure, but the app, I don't know.
I don't know. Like, I clicked on my name in the bottom right hand corner, which usually does that thing.
Yeah, that's what I said.
If we view a channel,
this is. Come on, Ash Parrish, you gotta help me out here. What's going on? What's good?
You know what? I'm gonna search Playables.
I mean, yeah, that's right. It's like the best thing to do. You can play State.io. I don't know what State.io is, but it looks like you're trying to take over states.
Is there like an extra upgrade that we need to do?
I don't know. It seems recent from what they're saying. So, yeah, it says
maybe it just hasn't been pushed yet.
See this other article. YouTube is getting into games too. This was November last year. View platform. Yeah, they offer 30 mini games. This is strange how it doesn't seem like easily accessible. I don't know.
It's for YouTube Premium, right?
Yeah, I mean now it is. I think it
All right,
was
all
once,
right.
but now they're pushing it out to everyone. That's what the article said. So.
I'm gonna look for updates.
It's so weird, Mike. But yeah, dude. Ladies and gentlemen, go and play some Playables on your YouTube app if you can find it. Because we
Yeah, if
unfortunately
you can
can't.
fiend it's the big one because I'm over here like, I guess I'm just dumb, just staring at my phone trying to find it right now. I don't know. I just don't know. Let's see, app settings, perhaps? Apps? Let's go over here and search YouTube. Maybe if we click on it, it'll give us an update feature.
You know the one thing we do know about Mike that we just learned about
We're
today.
switching up.
Oh,
Oh, this news actually just broke today, which is pretty sick. Do you want to tell them what it is?
yeah. Why you Google Playables?
Kind of. Let's see. Nope. It's up to date. I guess it just wasn't pushed to my Google store yet.
Come on, Google.
Anyways, let's get to the actual news. We are looking at Game Informer State of Play. So if you don't know, that is PlayStation's little conference that they kind of get together, do a big presentation, let everybody know we got new games. So this one again, Game Informer, Kyle Hilliard.
Hey, Kyle,
I
what's
don't know.
good? Let's go.
Yeah, Kyle's. You're all drinking Monster Energies all the time, right? Right into the veins.
I mean, I will deny it.
I don't think I've ever seen you drink a Monster. Actually, you probably stopped
Dude,
after the meme came out.
zero ultras. It's the only thing I drink. Zero ultra flavors.
Oh, the white ones, right?
Yeah, white ones, pink ones, orange ones. There's so many different ones. Just any of the
cool.
ultras, dude.
Monsters are pretty tasty, to be honest.
It's true. It's true.
Anyways, so Sony PlayStation State of Play. PlayStation will hold a State of Play this week covering 14 PS5 and PS2 or PSVR2 games. Sony has announced its intentions to hold a State of Play broadcast this week that will last for a little over 30 minutes and feature updates on 14 PlayStation 5 and PlayStation VR2 games, with a specific focus on PlayStation Studios titles arriving later this year. It's pretty sick. So this is going to be Thursday, May 30th, 3, 6, and 11. Well, my bad. 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, 11, which 5, 6 European time?
British summertime?
British
I don't know.
British standard time.
Yeah, standard. Yeah, it's probably, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Pretty cool. So we got here, Sony has no additional details, but some PlayStation Studios developers we have not heard from in a while include Asabi, which is Astro's Playroom, Bend Studio, Days Gone, Bluepoint, which is Demon Souls remake, Guerrilla, which is Horizon Zero Dawn, House Marquee, which is Returnal, Insomniac Games, which is a big one, Spider-Man. I feel like we've kind of heard from Insomniac because of
Like,
Spider-Man. That came out
Spider-Man
last
2,
year.
yeah, it wasn't too long ago, right? Spider-Man 2 came
Yeah.
out, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, Naughty Dog's Last of Us, and
Yeah.
that one I definitely want to hear about. Santa Monica Studio, God of War, which I feel like just came out, and Sucker Punch, which is Ghost of Tsushima. Is it Tsushima or Tsushima?
I think it's Tsushima or Tsushima. Kind of tomato, but it's definitely the T is silent. So
Tsushima sounds better. I definitely don't think it's T. I got a debate with my coworker over that.
No, T is silent for sure. So.
Okay, Tsushima. So there are more, but those are arguably the developers, gamers would be most interested or excited about to receive updates from. And at the very, very least, Kyle over here is hoping for an Astrobot rescue mission PlayStation VR2 port. I want to see more VR2 games because that means the envelope of the development of games can be branched out further into personal computers. And I got the standing desk now, dude. I'm ready. Let's do it.
I mean, hey, we heard it from the man himself earlier this year, the replacement for Jim Ryan, that they wanted to be aggressive about, especially getting games on a PC. It's obviously their goals. They want to do more of that.
Yeah,
so.
and putting together a subscription model as well, and expanding the VR2 space. If they could somehow allow like all these different companies that are doing VR headsets to use their software or like allow PlayStation games to be played on them, that could be game breaking. It'd be really cool.
I mean, yeah, it would be, but then all of a sudden that PSVR 2 is it's gonna be that useful, Mike. I don't know, like So
That's true
they
too.
gotta push the
Yeah,
flagship. I don't know, but it's an interesting thing. I so I'll say right now, I don't think we're gonna hear anything at all from Naughty Dog because they literally just canceled their multiplayer Last of Us that
I
they were
agree.
working on, and so I
Yep.
think they're obviously they know what they're working on next. Neil even talked about in an interview this past week about like they're working on something new now. That he's very excited about and doesn't want to talk about. But so I mean, there's definitely something in the works. Definitely way too early to announce anything, so I don't expect to hear anything from Naughty Dog. Um, although I am excited for what they have, going on next. But I think it's safe to assume probably won't hear from them. Yeah, I mean, Insomniac Games, I would also doubt we would hear anything from Insomniac considering Spider-Man was so recent. Spider-Man 2. Um, Santa Monica, yeah, Sony Santa Monica. I mean, we might hear something. I think too. It's like it wasn't too long ago they released that kind of DLC sort of expansion for God of War Ragnarok. So we might hear something. I don't know. We'll see. I guess. But yeah, I think especially like Ghost of Tsushima. I know they're working. I'm pretty sure they're working on the second one, or they were talking about working on a second one. So I mean,
Yeah, they did.
it'd be awesome if we heard something about that. At this showcase. But at the same time, I mean, I wouldn't be totally surprised if they waited on that. Um, and so yeah, I mean, for me, Ben Studio, I'm very curious about that. I love Days Gone. I was very upset they didn't get a sequel to Days Gone, but it also made sense from a business standpoint of just kind of like, look, could have done a sequel, but like y'all like kind of slept on the game and like kind of ruined our opportunity to, try
Very
and
true.
get funding. So that kind of sucked. But I really just I'm curious to see kind of more about what they're working on next. Yeah, Blue Point, of course, Gorilla, Horizon Zero Dawn. It's been some time since that's been out, so I'm curious to see kind of working on anything new and what's next for them. Yeah, a lot of interesting things there. I think what's important to mention too is which we've covered before. A PS5 Pro of some sorts is in the works, and I think probably later
Yes.
this year we might hear something about it. And if that's the case, I mean, also if you're doing a Pro iteration to the PS5, I mean, would you not want some like heavy hitters to launch with that? So you may want to wait until you talk about that more to maybe talk about some of these heavy hitting games and like maybe make some bigger announcements. So it's I mean it'd be awesome if we heard something kind of earth shattering at this tomorrow, but I think too. And well, I mean by the time you're watching this, you will have already seen it. So or hopefully you've already seen it. So you'll kind of we'll know if we're right or wrong. But yeah, I mean just from a perspective going into it, I hope to hear some stuff, but I'm not like, my expectations are kind of like middle of the pack. I'm not expecting anything crazy, per se.
I feel like that's fair enough. I would like to see. I'm on the same page. Just a little bit more content that we haven't heard from some of these developers. I just looked up right now that Sucker Punch really hasn't launched anything since 2020, and there's no new
Yeah.
announcements for new games. So I think the state of play today. I don't know. Have you heard any news from it?
Like
Actually,
I mean nothing particular kind of like,
nothing leaked yet.
outside like outside of this, not really much. Just like speculation mostly, what I've heard.
Yeah,
But I mean the PS5 Pro thing is I think is kind of an interesting, perspective on it. And it was something that I had heard and I was like, yeah, I mean that would make sense to
makes
maybe
sense.
wait a little bit on some stuff and maybe not announce, a whole lot of like craziness when this for this state of play. But and we'll see. It's also like what a week before kind of the Summer Games Fest stuff. So um,
Yeah,
it's
that's the other thing
it's
as
crazy to think
well.
about, Mike.
Summer
It's a
Games
week,
Fest
dude.
is
It's a week,
so
bro. It's what's
yeah,
wild too.
time's flying.
It's on the 7th, Mike. It's literally next week. It's on the 7th. That is a Friday for those that don't know. Interesting time frame for that because that was normally like a Thursday if I'm not mistaken. So
No, it was a Friday.
was it a
It
Friday?
was a Friday last
I
time.
feel
I believe what we ended up doing is our episode came out on Saturday. I think.
oh,
Did
I think
it?
you're actually right. I think you're
Yeah.
right.
We
Ah,
might need to do
interesting.
that again.
Hey, I ain't got any plans. You know what I'm
Jeez.
saying? So we'll see.
Oh, I know what it was. Now that I remember, we did our usual. Uh, I know we're getting kind of sidetracked here, but we did our usual episode, and then we did a special specifically for the Summer Games Fest.
Oh, maybe we did. Yeah, I'll have to go back and
Yeah,
look.
we
Yeah.
100% did. Yeah, we'll go back and double check and try to just repeat whatever it was. you know.
Yeah, probably.
Um.
But yeah, I mean,
Oh shoot, I'm going out of town next week. That's not good. Well, we gotta
dude,
sort that out.
we'll take it offline. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think overall, it's like, it's just crazy we're already here, and it's like we have this state of play stuff. Also after this, which we didn't mention, but there's also another article out there, the Silent Hill transmission that's happening after this. So it's like a
Yep.
Silent Hill showcase about updates on that kind of stuff. I'm very excited for that because I want to see what's going on with the Silent Hill 2 stuff. So very excited about that. So it's kind of like aside from this, but there's a couple things on the 30th that it's like, okay, I'm excited. Some things to watch tomorrow
Yeah.
night. So yeah, looking forward
Yeah,
to
it's
it.
gonna be really good. Um, we're definitely getting into those summer months where more and more games are gonna be announced. We might get some like, well, what's it called? Like quick announced releases, day drops kind of thing.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense? What there's like a specific industry term for it that I can't think of right now.
Hmm.
Shoot,
You think about like a release? What
like
are
a
you talking
silent
about?
drop, quick drop,
Like
something drop,
yeah,
raindrop can't stop.
raindrop, drop top.
Oh, don't say that part. We'll get DMCA'd. So, yeah, I'm mostly excited just to see new games coming out of PlayStation. Unfortunately, I don't own a PlayStation, so hopefully they're gonna
Yeah.
have a bit of a segment for PC gamers and
Yeah,
all the different ports that are gonna be coming over.
look
I
at
mean,
it.
Ghost to Tsushima should have came out this past month,
Yeah, I
like
think it was
2 weeks
yeah,
ago.
it wasn't long ago, right? Count for
It was
PC,
like
or it
I
was like
think it was the
soon.
month of
Like
May
that.
it came out. It might be out right now, to be honest. Let me
Can't
do a
remember.
quick little check, but I mean,
Listen,
there's more games that are gonna be coming out.
yeah, all I'm saying is look, whenever that PS5 Pro's announced and it drops, I want to get that just so I can play Grand Theft Auto 6 when that comes out, right? Because we ain't getting a PC
Oh, that's a
release
good
on
point.
launch day. That's gonna be further down the road.
That's a good
Because
point.
Rockstar's
That's a good
Rockstar,
point.
and they gotta get the console version out. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to have some sort of console to
I
play
didn't
it
even think
on.
about
So
that.
yeah, that's probably what I'm gonna eventually like be like. All right, it's time to get a PlayStation. Why not? So
Yeah, I'm also really interested in the Switch
yeah,
too.
Switch 2.
So
Yeah, it's probably
yeah, but
next year.
that's not gonna
I'll
have game. That's not gonna have GTA.
no, it's not.
No shot.
No, we'll have Call of Duty though.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
you know what's funny? We didn't even cover that. But like before we move on to the next thing, Call of Duty is announced coming to Game Pass. But the even funnier announcement, which I thought, was that they're still dropping that game on the last gen consoles, baby. So the next COD will be on
Yep.
the last gen. But it's because most people still play COD on the last gen. No one's like upgraded, especially for COD. Like no one's upgraded. So it's like that's funny.
I don't know why you wouldn't upgrade yet, but hey, money's hard to come by nowadays. Feels like everybody's struggling.
It's rough out here.
That's a
Not gonna lie.
different issue.
But you know what's no longer an
Speaking of a
issue?
different, yeah, I was about to bring that
Oh,
up. Good segue.
it's no longer an
We got
issue.
another one from IGN. Thanks for giving me the IGN articles, by the way.
Yeah, dude.
Um, this article is coming from Ryan Dinsdale, who we've covered plenty of his articles. Pretty cool guy over here. So this is about Cyberpunk 2077, a game that I have yet to finish. So now I feel pretty guilty that the game is finished, like actually
Yeah.
finished. So finally, after 3.5 years after launch, no one is working on Cyberpunk 2077 at CD Projekt Red, and it's an end of an era, Ryan says. So this is kind of a short and sweet article. Let's get into it. Cyberpunk 2077's launch in December 2020 was one of the most disastrous in recent memory. But now, three and a
Facts.
half years later, developer CD Projekt Red is finally done fixing it. I felt like the game was halfway decent and playable on new gen stuff. The old gen, though, not worth your time.
Ain't touching it. Nope.
Nope. Playable, mind you, playable. So that's the
Yeah.
key word. It definitely got significantly better after just a year of launch. But yeah. So revealed in its latest financial results, not a single developer at CD Projekt Red is working on Cyberpunk 2077 for the first time in more than a decade. Wild to think about it that in those terms. The studio breaks down the number of employees devoted to each of its many projects in each financial presentation. And while the Cyberpunk 2077 team stood 17 members strong on February 29th, 2024, that final group is now nowhere to be seen and likely migrated onto other projects. I hope so. You never want to hear about people getting laid off. But if you open up that graphic, you can actually see where development teams engaged in ongoing projects are at. Kind of wild to see that they have, what is that? How's that math work out? 1,257 developers, and they have one, two, three, four, five, six ish projects listed here.
Yeah. Well, they have
Kind of interesting.
it's 630, right? Because we're talking about from February to April. Like it's the same groups, but just the distributions are
Oh, my
different.
bad.
Yeah, it's like 600.
Yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
correcting me. Yeah, my bad. I'm over here like looking at combining the 2 months
Yeah.
of February 2029 and then a month later, April 30th.
Yeah.
Thanks for correcting me. Yeah, so there's really only 630 developers working on these games.
Yeah.
Sheesh, I bet they would love having twice that.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably pros and cons, but yeah. And you even see too, like there's a couple like, it's expanded by 3. They've hired a couple people. They ain't firing people.
Yeah.
They're hiring people. Love to see that.
Oh, or 5 people left and like 8 got added, you know?
Hey, you
Could be
never
like
know.
that. Who knows? Yeah, so let's get into this. CD Projekt Red wound down?
Yeah,
Wound down.
wound down.
Yeah. Wound down the development of Cyberpunk 2077 after the release of its first and only expansion, Phantom Liberty, in September 2023. It came after the game changing update 2.0, which completely revamped Cyberpunk 2077 with features such as a new perk system and improved AI, and was followed by another big update in 2.1, but only minor changes afterwards. Patch 2.11 addressed myriad bugs
Myriad.
and
Myriad, probably.
myriad.
Yeah, myriad
See,
bugs.
this is I'm only good with numbers, man. Sort of. I kind of just proved that wrong. Uh, myriad bugs and balance issues in the open world role playing game. While 2.12 applied a seemingly final layer of polish, CD Projekt Red is now looking firmly forward towards Cyberpunk 2077 sequel and codenamed Orion and its Myriad?
It's myriad.
Myriad?
Myriad. I
Myriad?
think it's myriad. On the firm, I think it's myriad.
It sounds like a witch name.
It's
Myriad
myriad. It's a weird kind of
incoming
word.
Witcher games.
Yeah, because like
Okay.
in English, it doesn't make sense when you say myriad incoming games. It almost sounds like it should be myriad of incoming games, right? So I don't know. It's really kind of odd. But
Yeah,
yeah,
very odd. English is tough, man. Words are difficult.
yeah, it, it really is a hard language. Yeah, but dude, I mean, it's interesting to see in this graph. You got 17C on Cyberpunk. That was like a very like skeleton team by that point. But now we're at a point. It's
Yeah.
like, all right, let's move on to Polaris. I believe Polaris is the next Witcher game. So Witcher 4, they have most of the people working on that. If I'm not mistaken, too, it's still in pre-production. I think they're planning to go full steam ahead by later this year on the next Witcher game. So yeah, you got
Okay.
most of the team focused on that. Orion, I think that they were saying that's the next kind of Cyberpunk entry. That's kind of pre-production, I'm sure at this point. Kind of the initial concepts that are
You
being
say
drawn
Orion?
on.
Is it Orion or Orion?
I have no idea. Orion, like it's a good question.
I'm
I have no
pretty
idea.
sure that's Orion, dude.
If it's Orion,
Are we
hey.
stupid?
Is it serious? Like Siri us? Yeah, serious.
Hold
Is
on.
it Hatter or Hater? I don't
Yeah.
know. Like these Polish people, man. I don't know why they're naming it these.
All right. Orion, Sirius, Hadar?
Hadar.
Maybe?
Hadar sounds right. Is this like some mythology I don't know of? Like, what are these names? What are the origins of these names?
I don't know. Let me
I feel like there's probably a pattern here. I'm just
Google
not seeing.
Translate real quick. Yeah, it is Hadar.
Hadar.
Okay.
Hadar.
I might not have no idea how to do Myriad or Myriad, but I know Orion and Hadar.
Hadar. Yeah. I mean, I should have googled what those projects are because I don't know if they stated kind of what they are, but I know Polaris is Witcher, Orion is Cyberpunk, and I'm assuming
so what
the
it says
others
here
maybe.
is,
I don't know.
I believe Polaris is Witcher, and then Orion is a sequel to Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, yeah. Makes me wonder
Hopefully.
what Sirius and Hadar are. I have no idea. But there's multiple Witcher games that they're trying to make, so maybe it's one of those.
Very cool.
I mean, it'd be crazy if they're thinking that far ahead. That's kind of nuts. The pre-planning of some of these games. But,
I would imagine so. They definitely have like a development team that's just spitballing ideas,
yeah.
and their entire job is to basically pitch a new story, and hopefully it works. So,
Yeah.
gotta have stuff in the back burner in case
Yeah.
trends change.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, shared services too. I'm assuming that's probably stuff along the lines of like GOG, or maybe I don't know if GOG is their own team, like like GOG.com. And I don't know if that's their own thing, but I think they're under the umbrella anyway. So yeah, I don't know. it's interesting to see the shared services and whatnot. You think Gwent's probably in there somewhere? The Gwent card game.
Yeah, I would
uh,
think so. I mean, it was incredibly popular, wasn't it?
yeah, sure was. I don't know. It's yeah, it's interesting to see. I mean, it's yeah, I think too. I mean, I just love the redemption story of Cyberpunk. I think it's one of those games where it's like, it was just like it was a letdown for a lot of people. I think fundamentally, when I will say when I played it like first when it came out, I still enjoyed the story. Like, I played on a PC, like a highish end PC. So like I enjoyed the story. I didn't run into too many like game breaking bugs, fortunately enough, in my playthrough. So I was kind of able to enjoy the game. I think more for what it was, probably than some people. Um, and I think it just helped playing on PC too, because I think PC, especially if you had a higher end one, it was a little more stable. So I thought fundamentally though the game was great. There were certainly some aspects where there was more to be desired, like the police system and driving and whatnot. I think there's definitely more that could have been done there. I think before launch. And then, this game as a game too that was just plagued with delays, and so it was like 3 or 4 delays
That's
and
very
stuff like that.
true
And it was
too.
just like it was a weird cycle, but I think the fact that I went back and played through the main story, and I got about halfway through Phantom Liberty, and I need to get back to it and finish it. But it's like when I played through it again, it was like it was a much more polished game, and it was like, yeah, this is what it probably should have been on launch. But I'm glad I was able to play through it again and enjoy it from a different perspective too, and see that and I think the game held up well. Story's good. Yeah, I mean, I think overall, like after all the polish and everything, I mean, it's a good solid game, and they didn't give up on it. And I think that's I can appreciate a team just saying like, hey, let's just make it right at this point. And we can once we get this right. And two, from like a development standpoint, and it was mentioned at GDC and stuff like that from some of the people that worked there, of like there was, and we've mentioned too on the show throughout articles about how there was fundamental changes in their structure of development as a result of the disaster that was the initial launch, and they kind of stepped back and said like, all right, there's got to be a better way to do this. Let's start thinking about it. And so, after some thinking and after changing up their model, it really showed. And kind of when Phantom Liberty came out and the difference in the game as a whole that was
Yeah,
made
it's
from their
critically
changes. So
acclaimed too.
yeah, and they developed more efficient process that hopefully can carry on to the next Witcher game and kind of their future projects. And hopefully we can get some efficient turnarounds. But yeah, it's interesting to see. I mean, just like from going for the more like siloed approach of just like keeping every department separate and just kind of working on their main thing, to eventually just saying like, all right, let's just take like let's make like these teams of like one people from each department, so we can like all work on a team, and so you can get stuff done in one team and not have to worry about sending stuff to other teams and waiting to hear back. And oh, this is wrong, you got to fix it.
That's a
And
good
it's
point.
like
Yeah,
going down the chain. It's like just being able to have like these sort of more isolated teams of people with multiple skill sets. You can just get kind of more things done more efficiently, because you're not having to worry about working on the next thing and then it end up being messed up in the third or fourth chain of approvals and kind of design features, and then you have to restart. So yeah, it's I don't know, they developed a more efficient way to do that. So it gets me excited for the next stuff. I mean, that being said, the way like Cyberpunk launched, there's still that cautious optimism, I think, with every developer now at this
that's
point.
very true.
So it's like you hope they learn from that. They really proved that it was a step in the right direction, I think, with the Cyberpunk DLC. So we can hope that in a full scale game that carries over. But also, they're getting away from the Red Engine, Mike. They're going to
Oh
the
yeah,
good
Unreal
old
Engine 5.
Unreal, yeah, good old Unreal.
Yeah, it's gonna
So
be
we'll
a
see if it's
wild change for
yeah.
them.
I mean, we'll see how much of a learning curve it is, and hopefully it doesn't, screw anything up. But new engine, a lot to learn, I'm sure. So
Yeah, I think they're going to be totally capable of it. I don't know
yeah,
the developers personally, but Cyberpunk games have been pretty well developed. Not Cyberpunk, sorry, CD Projekt Red games
yeah,
are well developed.
yeah,
Always been smooth. I mean, yeah, like you just said, Cyberpunk 2077 had a really rough launch,
yeah.
but they figured it out and created like a heck of a good DLC and good expansion. It's unfortunate that it didn't launch that way, but I mean, hey, they got there eventually, right? So take it with how you want it.
Yeah.
Uh, I need to go ahead and finish the game. And just going to the comment section of IGN over here, there's people that have basically said, "Hey, I have it. Like I bought and own the game. It's on Steam. and I've never played it. And there are people like, well, the DLC was amazing. The patches are better. It's like it's a perfect time to get into the game now, and like you can really
Yeah.
go enjoy it. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's probably the best
everybody's
time to get into
excited.
it. Yeah, if you haven't played it, I mean, there's no better time to play it than now. That's for sure. Just kind of the
Oh,
state that it's
100%.
in.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
I
It's
could
finally
second
done.
that. So it's solid on that front. Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about it too. I mean, I know Cyberpunk had a pretty rough launch. I remember Witcher 3 in particular. I remember like there was actually like a period, especially when the game launched, where it was like, especially on like newer cards. It's hard to think, but at the time it was like 980 Ti's and stuff like that were like kind of good cards, right? And so, but even at that time, it was
Weren't they
like,
crashing?
yeah, like they had a crashing issue, I think, especially for like kind of the
Yeah.
higher end cards on that game even. You know, not the best launches, but hey, it's undeniable. Like Witcher 3 is undeniable. Cyberpunk, I think,
That's very
ultimately
true.
became undeniable. So they do things right over there. I don't scold them completely. There's some people, that probably lost all their faith within the team whenever the initial launch for Cyberpunk happened. But you always have to give credit to a studio that's like, yeah, we messed up the first time, but we're at least gonna make it better before
Yeah.
we move on. So some, like, hey,
Well,
hello
I
games, No Man's
probably
Sky, like, hey,
very
it can
true.
happen.
Yeah.
It can happen.
It can 100% happen. I think I think with Cyberpunk 2077, I played it about within 6 months after launch. Not there were a couple of updates before those 6 months.
Yep.
I do remember seeing some bugs where I was like, "Ah, this kind of took me out of it."
Yep.
And it wasn't very interesting, but I know people that played it start to finish on the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. Not same people, but different people that have also finished on both games. And the ones on the Xbox Series X said they didn't really encounter very many problems. The one the Series S said, yeah, it would crash and there was weird phasing. I could see through walls at points, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So it's got to be a good game if you have those kind of immersion breaking level bugs,
Yeah.
but you still enjoy the game itself and you keep playing back, like going back to it. I still see like TikTok vids where people are playing Cyberpunk 2077 and they're viral videos.
Yeah.
It's kind of I'm not saying that's a gauge
I
to how
get it.
good a game is,
Yeah.
but it can't be terrible, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I will say too, like I've seen videos and stuff too on Cyberpunk and kind of like, like retrospectives and kind of like overall like reviews and stuff like that. And one thing I never really took into account was like the fact that within Cyberpunk, the different combat trees you can take and just what you can do in the game from a combat standpoint it's truly remarkable. And I think there's different avenues you could take, but also I think it's just it like when I see someone do like full melee and just like what they can do just like flying through the air and just like it makes you feel
Yeah,
like a
dude.
total badass, and it's just like they just
100%.
they do a really good job of that. And I think for an RPG it's like if they can make you like feel normal in one instance, but then the next one you're like this just superhero or super villain and you're just like just are striking fear at everyone and like killing 10 men a second, and it's like there's something
It's nuts.
something crazy about that with how, especially the melee combat. I didn't realize how good it was in that game until I saw like someone actually like doing melee to the, it's like
You
the best you can do in that game, and like seeing it from like a like a crazy point of view. It's like, yeah, you could really like. I thought gunplay was fun, but like just seeing someone do melee, it's like I just want to max out everything in that, just like be a
yeah.
force to be reckoned with. I don't know, it's crazy.
It's so much fun to play the game how you want to play it too.
Yeah,
You can be like a spy, you can be a hacker, and you can do everything that they promised. And I
yeah,
thought that was a lot of fun.
yeah,
So you got to give them props for that. And that's
yeah,
just the CD Projekt Red kind of branding of their games. With The Witcher was kind of like that too.
yeah,
There are different ways to play the game, but they give you the ability to choose,
yeah.
and that's
That's the
very
thing.
cool.
Like a good RPG gives you the choice in that, right? Doing what you want to do
100%,
and
yeah.
kind of giving you that freedom. Um, and yeah, I just think about too, like think like Bethesda RPGs and stuff like that. Like the older Fallout games are great. I think kind of the new Cyberpunk stuff, or new Cyberpunk, like the new the new Starfield. I think just like looking at that
Yeah.
game and looking back at that, it's like yeah, from like a movement standpoint, you couldn't do like melee combat stuff. I don't think it'd be nearly as exciting in that game as something like Cyberpunk, but also too, I think
No,
it's there's other aspects that are good about it. I don't know, it's wild. Just from an RPG perspective, how good like Cyberpunk is from like a combat aspect, skill tree aspect. Like it's a good RPG.
it certainly is. Well, I think that's
Oh
all the
man.
articles we really have for us this week. And I feel like it was a good chunk of a nice little change of pace. Next week is going to be absolutely insane with everything that we got going on.
Yeah.
Uh, with
Yeah.
all like the state of play that's happening this week. Then we got Summer Games Fest, so it's dude, we're gonna have a lot to hit people with. One of the things we can kind of finish up with is the video game releases
Oh
for the
yeah.
month of June.
Oh, it's the end of the month,
Um,
Mike. Why is it the end of the month? Oh my
yeah,
god.
it's actually crazy, dude. It really is. I'm not liking how fast everything's going, to be honest.
You know.
But we'll do this again. So what I found is like a good handful of games are going to be launching this month, and to be honest, there's really not a whole lot of heavy hitting titles. I think that has a lot to do with the showcase, multiple showcases that are coming out this next 2 weeks. Most of them are expansions, it seems like. But I'm going to do my usual thing where I start at the beginning of the month and then I work to the end. Some of them you've definitely heard of, other ones, not so much. So the notable games releasing this month, we can start off with The Elder Scrolls Online Gold Road. That's going to be the first June 3rd. That's first week, along with actually 5 titles in the first week. So you got The Elder Scrolls Online Gold Road, Destiny 2: The Final Shape, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game, which is going to be hilarious because that's based on the movie. Gonna be absolutely ridiculous, or I hope so. Empires of the Undergrowth, which honestly I don't know much about. Do you know anything about?
I
It's
don't
coming out
know.
to PC
Be honest.
June 7th. Well, then they have the same day Dragon is Dead. Um, a couple other ones you got is Monster Hunter Stories. This is the second week of June. Monster Hunter Stories, which is a remaster. You have Shin Megami Tensei V Vengeance.
I have
I'm
no idea
butchering
how to
that.
pronounce that.
That's all
Uh,
platforms, and that's June 14th. June 18th, you have 2 more games. You got Still Wakes the Deep, which, if I remember correctly, is actually like this one. I remember I meant to Google this before I got started. But basically, Still Wakes the Deep, I think, is a horror game is based in the ocean.
oh
Upcoming
gosh.
survival horror video game developed by the Chinese Room and published by Secret Mode. And when you look at it, is this the one that is you are on an oil tank? Yeah, you're on an oil tanker. It's a horror survival game on the horror tanker. This was
Oh
in the
god.
showcase that we watched a couple of months ago, I think in February.
Oh.
It looked pretty interesting, pretty scary. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. So that could be an interesting game for people that like horror. There is hashtag blood. I don't know a thing about it. I'm not even gonna try to make it up.
It's Dave Blood.
That is yeah, June 18th, and then we're finishing off with Elden
Oh.
Ring Shadow of
Ooh.
the Erd Tree. That is June 21st on PlayStation, PC, and all the other platforms as well, except for Switch.
Oh man.
Yeah. So we got some games coming out. Most of them seem to be expansions or sequels, DLC content. Not a whole lot of stuff really going on. The big stuff that's happening this month is absolutely the showcases, and we plan on covering Summer Games Fest, State of Play, and the Xbox Game Showcase, which I believe is
Nope.
right after Summer Games
It's
Fest
on Sunday. Sunday every
of
year.
this week.
Sunday
Or
of next week.
okay,
Yeah.
Ooh, we got ourselves a week, man.
Yep.
Well, I'll have plenty of time to watch it, which I'm excited for.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, that's really all we got. Do you see any games there that you knew about or thought about?
I didn't realize the Destiny expansion was coming out this month, but hey, let's go Destiny 2
Yeah,
fans. You get your expansion. Let's
yeah,
go.
100%.
Uh,
It's usually like I like doing these at the end of the month, or well, technically at the beginning of the month, because it's kind of a reminder of the new games coming out.
yeah,
So when people
sure.
like, it's a reminder for me and you, but then I get to do a little bit of research of like, oh yeah, that's what this game is.
No.
Just could be
I
good.
mean, yeah. Dude, the Elden Ring expansion, I know a lot of people are excited about that. Elden
Oh
Ring
yeah.
is, it's crazy. Kai Cenat did his Elden Ring stream a couple weeks ago, and like, I didn't know if he was actually gonna like it because he didn't seem like somebody who liked that kind of stuff. But like, he praised that game after he finished it, and he was like, "It's such a good game, and it's like everyone should play it," kind of thing. So I know he's excited for the expansion. I think he said he was gonna play it. So all right, there's a lot of eyeballs on that game now, just from him streaming it. So I'm sure there's a
Yeah,
lot of people excited and ready to hop back in that game because yeah, those Souls likes, man, they get people. They're good.
they certainly do. Yeah, it's pretty addicting, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. I heard about Killer Clowns. I saw like an article for it, and I was like, "Oh, this is a game coming out soon." Yeah, and sure enough, that's the thing. Monster Hunter people, you get your Monster Hunter remaster stories. That's exciting. Um, and Dragon is Dead. I was about to make a joke and be like, Dragon's Dogma? No, it's not. It's not that. It's a different game.
Dragon's
So.
Dogma. Yeah, I don't know too much about half those games. Most of them have been like the ones that I do know about. I've been kind of looking at, but I've never been super interested of going for like the Still Wakes in the Deep. I thought it was a really cool trailer, but I didn't look any more into that.
Yeah.
The rest of them just seem like sequels, and the other ones are kind of unknown to me. And specifically, the one I could barely even pronounce. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Elder Scrolls Online. Didn't realize that was still getting expansions, but hey, if you play ESO, still got new content, baby.
come on, you always know the Elder Scrolls is going to be coming out with stuff. It's like the longest. It's like a cash cow almost.
Yeah, especially ESO.
Yes, sir.
Crazy releases.
Well, we have been ranting for quite some time. Let's just go ahead and let the people go. Um, yeah. So thank you for joining us on the M2 podcast. If you want to check out any of the articles, they are linked in the description below, along with plenty of timestamps that you can check out for yourself of just like maybe come back, leave, come back, whatever. We do this for every single article or every single episode. And yeah, that's really it. We got social medias you can follow. You can check us out on all audio platforms, YouTube, whatever. And that's pretty much it. Kyle, you want to add anything?
Oh, dude. Get ready for new games. And in 2 weeks, we got a lot of showcases.
Yes, sir. Oh, I'm looking forward to
Big week.
just
Big
going
weeks
through
for
it
us.
together.
Big weeks for us.
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
We'll give a full breakdown. That's what we did last time. Summer Games Fest. We just
Yep.
went through everything that we watched. We basically watched it together last time and just did comments and stuff.
No.
You know,
Much.
that was pretty cool.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll let everybody go. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. I'm Michael Ante. This is Kyle Heath, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Peace out.
Bye, everyone. 2 weeks.
See ya.
2 weeks.